Welcome /malicious compliance. You think your manager is splitting his time too thinly? I agree. A combo of my own malicious compliance gutting a manager's support staff and a regional manager's MC fulfilling a request. Whole story is funny. I was telling it to someone at work and they suggested I post it here. My company has supervisors fill in for malignant roles in busy periods. As work experience and cost saving, I guess. We get paid more when we do it, and it does lead to permanent promotions. I'd been at the company 8 years and had fallen into the rhythm of being a supervisor 8 months and a manager for the 4 busier months of the year. For my own personality reasons, I'm a little unprofessional. You may see instances of that below. I hadn't passed the interview for a permanent manager yet, but in terms of experience I had more than most of the actual managers. Ed just stepped down from a department manager role after a busy period in the defect management department, and I was reassigned as a team supervisor for the largest department in headcount. I was bored AF. The supervisors were expected to do some real easy paperwork and be visible to the staff around the shop floor. I reached out to my regional manager Anna, my boss's boss who had worked with closely in last role. I knew she was having issues with my old department and was trying to get an in on a better role, not a promotion, just something more interesting, maybe working under the dude doing my old job. I complained to her that I do as much work in 10 hours in current role as I used to do in the first 45 minutes in last one. Anna gave me a small project to do. It was a little Excel work that leveraged what I knew from running the defect work. It was an hour's work tops, so I completed it that day with no issues. My little project highlighted a place where we could make a lot of gains in defect reduction, so Anna sent me an email asking me to increase the scope of the project, and I politely pointed out she should have sent that to my manager James, as it was beyond a small chat and would allocate a fair amount of my time every day. James was a nice enough person, but he was inexperienced and didn't know when or how to be tough. And he was already getting pissed off that I had more experience and more project work than him. He tore me out. Disrespect Anna over email when I was trying to have his back and keep him in chain. To me this was pathetic. Keeping him in loop was an act of respect, and he was basically admitting he didn't have the backbone to question requests from Anna. A few weeks later, new project is showing improvement. James has seen the emails and his boss has mentioned it in meetings, and he starts getting on my case about the amount of time I'm spending on project work vs supervisor work in his department. I asked him if he had actually proof I wasn't doing my job and to show me a metric where I was doing less than another person. This job was way too easy and overstaffed with 4 other supervisors, and I know recordably I did more than the others, as we are supposed to log every interaction we have with staff, which I did meticulously, and the others saw as a box ticking exercise. So he couldn't prove I was neglecting job because the job was frankly too easy to neglect. The job was walk around, say hi to people, and tell them if they made a mistake. I truly believe a golden retriever could do most of it. He asked me to write a detailed breakdown of how I split my day, how many hours I spent on my project work vs department work. I found it funny as he was obviously asking me to tie my own noose, but I know the company better than him, so I did so. Comparing the detailed reports on coaching and staff interactions I submitted vs the spoke to X reports the other supervisors were doing. I detailed how I was spending 6/10 hours a day to easily do twice the work of his other supervisors combined, and then spent the other 4 hours on the defect project. I even showed how the staff I spoke to had provable improvements in productivity where the staff the other supervisors spoke to weren't even on site some of the times they claimed they spoke to them. I then emailed it to James BCC, Deanna with the breakdown of the improvements my defect project had shown at same time. Anna called me in next day. She had a meeting with James, who had asked that I not work on projects for another department. He had presented an edited version of my report which didn't include the comparisons and edits, just the 6 hours department 4 hours project split. Anna, who had read whole report, told me she laughed in his face and agreed with him. Quoting, "You are right. Has spending way too much time as a supervisor. The project work is more important. She then informed me I was being reassigned as a process manager to levels above current job, where I eventually got the job permanently as my people skills don't matter in a depth with no staff. Some of my project outcomes were rolled out to network and saved a lot of money, so that's all I do now. My work split is 7 hours Reddit / out of band 3 hours actual work, but I make enough savings to justify my existence. And since I'd been forced to write a detailed report of all the work I was actually doing as a supervisor, it was enough to prove he didn't need as many as he had, and they didn't backfill me. They later reassigned another 2 and started asking for proof they were actually speaking to people. TL. Dr. Boss says I'm splitting my time between work for him and work for his boss too thinly. She agrees, resigning me, and takes half his support staff due to a report I submitted. The savings are ridiculous. We were running 2700 effects per million units produced, which I got down to 500, then rolled it out to other facilities. It saved millions. I've been very clear it doesn't take me all day to do the job, but the saving is way more than what they pay me. Lol, brutal honesty. Anyone who jokes that I don't do enough, I just point out how much more I do for company than they do, usually with charts. You may be seeing why I couldn't get a permanent role as a people manager. Devil's advocate. Sometimes they are listening and just don't understand, but won't admit it as it would make them look bad. Or they do sincerely think they understand, but when it comes time for them to do it, nope. I've been getting out of this in work, trying to teach an aging frontline workforce how to use a smartphone so they can access our modernized, app-based work management system. Some of them have no more tech handiness than dialing a corded phone. They've spent their entire lives working, work, then go home and work some more on the farm. One of my uncles was in the Australian Air Force, and he used to forward chain emails and stupid jokes to everyone on his contact list using CC. I told him not to. I told him to use BCC. I told him to take me off the list and stop sending the shit. Then when he still did it, I went nuclear. I hit the reply all button and thanked him for the long list of email addresses that I could sell to spam and hacker lists, which included quite a few Australian Defence Force email addresses. I got a few direct emails from some of them, and I attached the emails that I sent to him telling him to stop. He got a formal reprimand and had to do training in email and online safety. BCC means blind carbon copy. Everyone in the BCC field receives the email, but there is no mention of their name or email in the to field. This is a great way for sending out mass emails without revealing people's personal emails. People in the to or CC field do not see who is in the BCC, and people in the BCC do not see each other. When I worked at a school, that's how I sent out mass emails to the parents I worked with. I had a master list labeled as BCC only, so I could email all the parents without revealing their emails to each other. I also use BCC when I want to cover my ass. It's a fantastic way of looping hours into a conversation if someone is being a dick. Most people are worth more than they think. The trick is being able to document and prove that. Any project's improvement ideas you have done, even people you have trained. The more you document, the more you can pull out if you need it. I agree with that, but I also think that in addition to keeping track of all the progress and effort put into work, I also believe that value can gain by simply the delivery method of the documents. As if you can make something you did seem more impressive in the eyes of other people, then it will have more value than just saying I did this. And going over the top will probably subtract value.